In this presentation, we will take a look at federal income tax, FIT tax, within QuickBooks Online. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here we are in our test file. You can follow along with your own company file, or you can use the practice file that is provided by Intuit by Google searching QuickBooks Online Test Drive. We're going to go down here to the Workers tab in our test file. Within the Workers tab, we will consider the FIT with regard to individual employees. The federal income tax will be applied as we set up an employee. For example, if we were to look at an employee, we're going to go into an employee. We're going to go into the editing of an employee and think about the options within the settings that apply to federal income taxes. Clearly, the amount of the pay period will apply because that'll change the gross pay that we will have. We can also have some things that will have an effect on federal income tax, including a 401k plan, which may reduce the federal income tax. Mainly, the federal income tax will be affected here as we input that W-4 information into the system with the marital status and the number of allowances. The only reason we need those information, that information, which it might seem like a more personal information, is because of the federal income tax, which is needed for the calculations for the system to then look up the tables. The federal income taxes is one of the main things, the main reasons why we want QuickBooks. Because for us to look up the taxes is a different calculation for each employee, and it's a tedious task to do so because it's not a flat task. It's not a flat tax, so it's more difficult to do so. So it's really nice then to have a computer to do that process, but we still want to have some understanding of it, of course, and what is involved, what we need to give the computer in order for it to calculate that tax correctly. Now we'll close this out. I'm going to close this item back out, and then I'm going to go back to our employee list with this blue button up top. Back to our employees. Now clearly this would happen as we process the payroll. When we run the payroll processing the check, then QuickBooks would calculate for us the amount to withhold for federal income taxes taken out of the employee check. To see that, I'm going to go to an employee check and look at the detail for it. So to do that, I'm going to go to the accounting on the left side, and we're going to look at the chart of accounts. So I'm in the chart of accounts tab, and we want to go through the register for the checking account. This is where our checks are written from. If you have a different account, whatever payroll account, then you can go to the payroll account to find a payroll check and observe it. So then we're going to go to the view register and see if we could find a payroll check. In this area, all of them are paychecks because we only have payroll in this file. So all of these are payroll checks. If we then were to select the detail of a check and edit it, then it'll take us to the options or the editing of that check. So if we go through that, we basically get jumped to, QuickBooks takes us out of the register in essence and takes us to the payroll area and opens up that actual paycheck data entry portion. So we could see here then that the pay here was hours times the rate and then overtime times the rate for a total pay of $4,062.50. We'll go through this more as we start to enter data in our practice problem. We'll do this a lot. And if we scroll down, we've got the employee taxes. The first one is the federal income tax. Now, remember that this is not the company's federal income tax as we think about this. The company pays taxes as well. If this was a C corporation, or even if it's a sole proprietor, then the company, in the sense that we're the company, we're the owner, we're going to pay taxes on net income on our Form 1040 federal income taxes. But this is employee payroll federal income taxes, which we theoretically don't pay. We, as the company, as the owner, the employee theoretically pays it out of their check. So we can see that item here being taken out. It's nothing that's going to be on the employer side as well, unlike Social Security and Medicare, which has both an employee and employer portion. This federal income tax is the employee's taxes, which they owe, which we are taking from them out of their paycheck, which they have earned this money, and giving it to the government because we're required to do that. And we're required to do that in accordance with a certain system, a certain structure, by taking the information from the employees with regard to their allowances and marital status, and then our pay period, taken this information out. So the system's going to calculate this for us. Not an easy, we know it's based on that number, but it's not an easy thing for us to basically know from each employee what that is without basically going through the marital status and the pay period and the wages and then looking up tables. So this is really helpful for the QuickBooks system to have. So that, of course, is going to be a component that is being taken out from the gross pay to get to the net pay. Now we'll close this back out. I'm going to close this back out, and we're going to go to the reports on the left side and say, okay, well, what does that do in terms of the actual data that will be entered into the financial statements? If we take a look at the balance sheet and income statement, balance sheet first, I'm going to change the date to the year we're working on, 01/01/19 to 12/31/19. Let's try that one more time, 01/01/19. So January through December 2019, and we'll run that report. Here's going to be the balance sheet information, and you'll note that the FIT tax is going to be something that is creating a liability. It'll create a liability right here on the 941 because that's where we report it. So we report the FIT withholdings on the form 941 along with the Social Security and Medicare. So it's creating a liability for us. Why? Because theoretically the employee earned it and we withheld it. We took it from them. We withheld their earnings. And we were required to do so because now we owe it to whoever they owe the money to, which is the government. So then I'm going to make a new tab by right-clicking on this tab and duplicating it. So note we can have two tabs open in QuickBooks Online. This is a great tool. I'm going to put my cursor on the left one and drag it to the right because you'll note that it renamed this one balance sheet. And now I'm going to make this one the profit and loss. I'm going to do that by going to the reports on the left side. We're going to go to the profit and loss report. Changing the dates once again, 01/01/19 to 12/31/19, and then run that report. And you'll notice that the FIT wages then, you would think would be here under taxes. This is basically payroll taxes. But this is only the employer portion. The FIT is being grouped by QuickBooks in wages, depending on the employee or owner wages. So it'll be included in wages. Why? But it's a tax, you might say. It's clearly going to the government. But it's not being paid by us. It's not our tax as the company. It's the employee's tax. So on the expense side, you'll note that we don't see the taxes in a separate area for FIT. They're included in the expense of the check. This is one of the most confusing things to really, for most people to wrap their head around. Why would that be? And why? And then so if I go back up and go back to our report, then the taxes here that we do have payroll taxes, but those are the employer taxes paid over and above the gross pay. We'll reiterate this time and again as we think about who's paying the taxes and who's actually responsible for the taxes as we work through the concepts and work through comprehensive problems. Now you might say, hey, maybe if we went to this balance sheet, maybe we want to break something out differently. I mean, how does QuickBooks know that it should be reported to this account? Because we didn't see it. We're not going to see it in the setup process. It's going to be set up by QuickBooks automatically. To look at that, let's take a look at another tab. I'm going to right click on this tab again and duplicate it. Pull the one from the left to the right. And you'll note up top in this cog up top, if we go to the cog up top and the company preferences and the payroll settings, then we'll see within the payroll settings, I'm going to go to the preferences on the right. Now these are default preferences, and then I'm going to go to the accounting preferences. They've already been set up, and they're usually really good, so they're fine. Nothing necessarily needed to change, but if we scroll down, we'll see the accounts that QuickBooks has assigned. QuickBooks made the chart of accounts when we set up payroll, and it assigns these items to them as we go. So the company tax account is here. So here's payroll taxes, but we're not dealing with employer taxes. We're dealing with employee tax. So we have the tax liabilities here. And you'll notice what we have are federal taxes. So that's going to this account, which was called 941. We could set up another account and name it something different. Like maybe we don't want the 944. Maybe we just file a 941 or vice versa. Or maybe we just want to call it, taxes payable or something like that. Maybe we want all of these taxes in one account. And we don't like seeing all the detail of all these different accounts that are all related to payroll, just making our balance sheet look huge. We might just want one account called payroll liability. we could do that. We can change this. We can set up another account. These is basically coming from our chart of accounts. We would probably first want to go to the chart of accounts, then set up an account, and then come back here and make this change. But that's one way we can do it. Note what we cannot do is really break out the federal taxes of Social Security, Medicare, and federal income tax to their own separate accounts, because those are all included in this 941, which includes Social Security, Medicare, and FIT taxes. So if we wanted to group the liabilities differently, we could do so. This is how QuickBooks is telling it. This is what tells QuickBooks where to put those liability accounts. So we're going to keep it as is for now. I'm going to cancel this down below. And then, of course, note that those FIT taxes will be used to create the reports, payroll taxes, which we'll find in the Taxes tab on the left. If we go to the payroll taxes up top, then we'll see our reports. The quarterly reports is the one where we'll have the FIT. If we take a look at the quarterly 941, QuickBooks will generate that 941 for us. I'm doing this fast, sorry about that, but this is just an example. Here's the 941, and then here's the FIT taxes for the first quarter. And this is going to be for all employees. So this will group up basically all of the information, all the FIT withholdings for all the paychecks, all the employees. QuickBooks will do that for us. This is another huge thing that we're paying for paid payroll to do for us, grouping this together in a Form 941. We still, of course, want to understand what it is doing so we can explain it to ourselves, to others, to the IRS if they come giving us letters and questions and whatnot and asking us what happened here. I'm going to close that back out. I'm going to go back up top, and we're going to go back to the Payroll Tax Center. We also, of course, note that that same information will be on the annual reports on the W-2 and W-3. So if we were to take a look at the W-3 report, we would have that same information. If we were to view the reports, we also are going to group on a year-end basis the withholdings. So here's the federal income tax withholdings grouped here as well. Another huge benefit that QuickBooks will do this for us for all of our employees, group this together as well as break them out from employee to employee. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.